Hello everyone, with you AniDay. Today I will tell you about the anime hard work in the dungeon. Happy viewing. A young man with blue hair, Kinji Ninomiya, at the age of 24, has achieved considerable success. He fulfilled his main dream. He became a professional loafer. And now he is going to live on passive income and never work again. But suddenly a portal opens under him and Kinji is thrown into the world of Amria, inhabited by demi-humans. In ancient times, the dungeons of this world were filled with monsters and treasures. Mighty daredevils descended into this world in search of wealth and glory. But technological progress has changed everything. The mineral dimonite, mined here, has been used as an energy source. The government and corporations that have received a license have begun to develop dimonite mines. And in the mines of one of these companies, called Resak, was Kinji. Ninomiya, learning that he can speak the language of these monsters, uses his wits and raises an uprising among the ants. The Ant Queen, not appreciating this gesture, starts the battle, but hungry Rima looks into the light. Kinji saves the cave ants from the dragon girl and gains their trust. The next time he descends into the dungeon with Wanig, he invites him to join the organization he created, the Black Dungeon Company, which will control the Resak. Having achieved another promotion, Kinji and Wanig, among other promising newcomers, are sent to corporate training. There, everything is led by a half-pig, who considers it his duty to turn everyone into obedient piglets. After issuing equipment, he sends the group to the mines, where he confronts them with monsters. The half-pig is unhappy with the recruit's physical condition and arranges a series of training sessions. Looking at Wanig's regrown tail, Ninomiya comes up with a plan to make money quickly. Collect resources from monsters without killing them and letting them regenerate. This is Kinji's idea. But suddenly an earthquake begins and she falls into the gorge. Trying to save her, Ninomiya falls behind her. They find themselves at the lower levels of the dungeon, where they meet Majin, a monster capable of defeating strong heroes. She plans to stop the Majin at the cost of her life. She starts to transport Kinji to safety, but the guy throws the transfer device at the monster. The device fires and the Majin is transported to the surface. Knowing that he will return, Ninomiya prepares to welcome him, but all plans fail. Kinji, having learned the story of Shia's father, successfully lures her away. At that moment, Majin attacks Kinji, but he is again saved by Rima, who, saying "Kinji is my food," partially transforms into a dragon and bites off Majin's head. The dragon girl says that Majin did not have time to gain strength and fully recover because she did not come to the rescue. Suddenly, a red lamp lights up on the broken pillar, and a portal opens below them. Kinji wakes up with Rimuru in an unfamiliar room. At that moment, a girl enters the room and asks him to save the world. Having not received an answer to the questions asked, Ninomiya asks Rima to break the wall. From the hole, he sees a technologically advanced city. At the noise, a man with a goatee enters the room and introduces himself as Zazel, the ruler of the city of Marcia. He also represents a girl, a priestess named Ranga. Going down the elevator, Zazel reveals that 300 years ago, due to one corporation, the world was on the verge of destruction, and it was captured by monsters led by the Demon Lord. The survivors fled underground. Ninomiya rapidly rises through the ranks to become a top-ranking officer, meet the Demon Lord, and learn about how to return to Japan. This attracts the attention of the generals of the Sovereign, the members of the Demon Lord's Army Leadership Brotherhood, or the Three of Crows, who are going to teach the rookie a lesson. They take turns trying to set him up, set traps for him, set monsters on him. But Kinji emerges victorious from every situation. In the end, Ninomiya contacts the morally crushed Brotherhood and reports that he immediately saw through the idea of the trio and used them to strengthen his position. Having stumbled upon the robot on the instructions of the Lord of Darkness, they enter into a fight with him. 300 years ago, the Research Corporation gained access to colonial technology and drained all the magical energy at once, which almost led the world to death. Therefore, the mistress attacked the corporation, forcing them to temporarily retreat. Having shown all the horrific consequences, she wants to send Kinji back to change the course of history. She gives him a choice: return to Japan or return to the past of this world. Kinji returns to the past. The triumphant return interrupts an invitation to Verusa, where he is informed of debts, new and old, and homelessness. The hero does not despair and goes to Shia with his entire group. In her apartment, he talks about his adventures. The next day after the festive dinner, Ninomiya reveals his plan. Get to the ruins before Verusa and use the colonial technology to take over the world. But he is immediately lowered from heaven to earth, because now at every level of the dungeon it has become much more difficult than before. But Kinji doesn't stop that. The conversation turns to another topic. Compared to their colleagues, Ninomiya and Wanabe are too weak, and Shia takes over their training. She reveals that the inhabitants of this world can manipulate mana to increase their strength and create magic. Kinji realizes that he is the weakest person in this world, and this hurts him greatly. But then he remembers about the gun from the future, which suddenly starts working and reconfigures on Ninomiya. Pleased with his acquisition, Kinji leads his group into the dungeon. In a fit of complacency, he spends the entire charge of the weapon with artificial intelligence, and he begins to draw mana from environmental objects, including from the clothes of the heroes. It turns out that the weapon is firmly attached to Kinji, and will not allow him to use anything else. As the campaign continues, Ninomiya and Ko stumble upon adventurers who have turned into zombies. One of the group turns into the same zombie. Magic is replenished at the expense of visitors, and the more visitors, the more demonite. Kinji crashes the Damonite market and practically seizes control of it. Thanks to the research of Wanabe, who also retired and now works for Kinji, he produces safe and high-quality goods, which allows him to capture the courier market and begin to conquer the magic item market. In the end, he achieves his goal, simultaneously bringing down the Research Corporation. Verusa, flooding the mountain in a bar in the company of a collector, decides to clear out and let off some steam. But in the alley, she meets Ranga, who advises her to change and leaves. Collector accidentally dumps the contents of the bag, slipping on it. Frustrated, Verusa sees Shi's scorecard among the contents and comes up with a plan. Kinji is arrested for violating the Demonite trade law. The Research Company accuses him, and employees of the corporation act as witnesses. All this was done thanks to Shi's naivety. The head of Research declares Ninomiya an enemy of all mankind. It turns out that if nothing is done, the Kinji can be executed. They want to extract a sincere confession from Ninomiya, but he does not give up. She realizes what she's done and infiltrates Kinji and heals him. The guy's friends find a manual written by Kinji in case of an emergency. Using this guide, they are going to save Ninomiya. A month later, at a meeting of shareholders of the Research Company, Ninomiya's friends, who have become one of the main shareholders of the company, nominate Ninomiya Kinji for the post of CEO. At that moment, Kinji enters the hall, kicking open the door, accompanied by the lawyer and Shi. It turns out that he advances all this as part of his plan. Kinji becomes the CEO of Research, and shortly thereafter, the Black Dungeon Company takes full ownership of Reisenha. Kinji achieved everything he wanted, but he never experienced a feeling of happiness. Kinji realizes that he is the weakest person in this world, and this hurts him greatly. But then he remembers about the gun from the future, which suddenly starts working and reconfigures on Ninomiya. Pleased with his acquisition, Kinji leads his group into the dungeon. In a fit of complacency, he spends the entire charge of the weapon with artificial intelligence, and he begins to draw mana from environmental objects, including from the clothes of the heroes. It turns out that the weapon is firmly attached to Kinji, and will not allow him to use anything else. As the campaign continues, Ninomiya and Ko stumble upon adventurers who have turned into zombies. One of the group turns into the same zombie. Fighting back, the guys find out that Ninomiya has been kidnapped. The group sets out to rescue their comrade, but are stumbled upon by potion-producing zombies. It turns out that all zombie adventurers are under the influence of subjugation magic. The latter report that Verusa's elite squad is stuck at that level, and the entrance is filled with stones. On their way to the makeshift support base, the Queen Ant arrives with a sick child in her arms, who turns out to be Majin. She reveals that the Majin state and the dungeons are connected. Realizing his guilt, Remu begins to take care of his sister. He realized that the path to achieving the goal for him is more expensive than the victory itself. His friends thought that, considering himself a stranger, he was going to leave this world, so they throw him a farewell party. But at the celebration, Ninomiya declares that he does not intend to leave the world where he has achieved so much. In fact, the guy is going to spread the influence of his company around the world, and for this he goes on a trip. Kinji is determined to conquer the whole world. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like and press the bell so as not to miss new videos. AniDay was with you. Bye everyone.